Hello and welcome. This is Jasur from Shanghai Silk Road, also JRN Firm. We are a corporate consultancy based in Shanghai, also with offices in the US and Uzbekistan. So in this video, we'd like to talk about how to succeed in the Chinese market. As you know, China is the world's second largest economy and it's growing very fast. There are huge opportunities, obviously, for businesses of all sizes to succeed in the Chinese market. But of course, doing business in China can also be very challenging, and the culture is different, the language is different, the regulations are complex most of the time, and the competition is extremely fierce. That's why I'd like to help with the process, obviously. Excuse me, 1 second, I put it in silence. So in this video, we're going to share some of the tips on how to succeed in the Chinese market and make your first million, perhaps. So number one tip that I give to all the clients that are entering the Chinese market through our company is to learn the Chinese language and culture as much as possible. One of the most important things that you can do in any new market. Of course, the market you are entering, if they speak English, that's great, congratulations, that's going to be much easier for you. But if the market, the country you want to sell to is going to speak something different, different language, and their culture is different, then that is the first step for you to actually think about very seriously. And if you can, learn that language as much as possible, the culture as much as possible. So Chinese market is not an exception. So there are multiple ways to learn Chinese language and culture. You can, start building relationships with potential partners and clients, maybe over social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., and try kind of communicating or practicing rather your Chinese language and learn the culture from them by asking questions, right? And that's going to help you actually to strengthen your relationships because they see that you're making an effort, you want to learn the culture and language, and that's kind of additional benefit, right, to build that mutual relationship. So of course you can take a lot of courses online, or easier way is actually taking course in China. There are many universities that offer Chinese language courses to foreigners, and you can just sign up to one of them and spend some time actually on the ground here to learn the language. And at the same time, obviously, when you're attending those Chinese language courses, you will learn the culture and make friends, obviously. Or if the time is an issue, you cannot travel, then you can always take online courses. Now, that is tip number one, actually, as I mentioned, for any market, not only China, right? Tip number two, my advice is to set up a local WFOE, which stands for Wholly Foreign Owned Enterprise. A WFOE, or Wholly Foreign Owned Enterprise, is a type of business entity that is wholly, entirely owned by a foreign company or individual. WFOEs are required for many types of businesses in China. If, as a foreigner, you would like to enter this market, so then tip number two is going to be this: set up your own entity here. And WFOE offers a number of advantages, such as tax benefits and, of course, limited liability for the founders. And setting up a WFOE can be a complex process, but JRN Firm, our company, is here to help to make all this process easier for you. And it's essential for many businesses, like I mentioned, that want to succeed in the Chinese market. Because obviously, think about it. If you don't have a company in China, the only way you can make business in this market is through potential partners, right? But how trustworthy those potential partners are? Are you willing to trust all this money to total stranger companies? Even if you trust them, when money is involved, people and companies tend to be very tricky, you know. So my advice would be to set up your own company and make sure that, you know, you're controlling all the money in and out, you know, yourself without, you know, risking it, right? So tip number 3, market your business on Chinese social media. This is actually one of the crucial elements when entering any new market. Many people actually do that big mistake. They stick to Google, right? Of course, Google is used on, you know, many markets across the globe, right? Many people have access to Google, but unfortunately, Chinese market is an exception here. In Chinese market, you don't have access to Google. So obviously, you have to market, advertise your services, products on the local websites. Alternative websites, for example, for alternative Google in China is Baidu. So you need to build a Chinese website and you need to make it Baidu friendly, okay? You need to SEO for Baidu, and you need to search engine optimize basically for Baidu. And also social media, talking about social media, there's WeChat, widely used across China. WeChat is kind of inseparable part of business in China. It's everybody uses it for both personal purposes and for business. And Weibo is also like very famous in China. So you need to, you know, use all the available social media in the local market. And these are very essential for marketing your business to Chinese consumers directly. Because like I mentioned, everybody uses these social media platforms, right? And like I mentioned, this is not only in China. When you're entering to a new market, you need to consider what kind of social media the local consumers and maybe potential partners are using. So although Google might be very global, but in some of the markets, even if they have access to Google, maybe they have some alternative, you know, they prefer. Maybe they have some different websites in that market they use. So yeah, you need to really spend some time and without wasting a lot of money and resources, you know, just focus on the websites and social media that the local market uses. Next tip would be to localize your products and services, obviously, because I have seen throughout my career here, many of our clients set up their companies through us, and we watch them, how they perform, what kind of, you know, weaknesses and strength they have. Because when you have, you know, when you look at the process from a side, right, from strangers' point of view, you can see what they're doing wrong, right? So one of the things is not localizing the service and product. They think that, well, my product is very successful in my country or some other markets outside of China. Well, maybe, not maybe, kind of they are really sure that they would succeed in Chinese market as well, which is most of the time wrong because, you know, Chinese consumers, they have unique taste like many other, you know, countries and preferences, obviously. So it's important to localize your product and services to meet the needs, okay, local needs. This may involve making changes, slight changes to the packaging, design, features of your product and services. It may also involve offering different customer support or pricing models, okay. So actually, which will be next, one of the next tips is try hiring a local talent, okay? Because obviously you're coming from abroad. You don't have, expertise in the local market. Maybe you have theoretical knowledge, but you don't have the practical knowledge, right? In terms of marketing. So it's better to hire a local marketing expert and let them actually run this department for you. Let them do the localization. Let them give you practical advices, right? So that would be, beneficial for your business. And next tip, obviously, be very patient. You need to be very patient because, Chinese market is very big, and the chances of becoming very successful are high, but still doing business in China takes time and patience, just like any other market. Don't expect to make millions of dollars overnight. Obviously, it takes time to build relationships, market your business, establish reputation. Most important part, establish a reputation in the Chinese market. Because just like in any other country, when the company is new, when the website is new, just like, popped up just recently, the consumers, of course, they're not stupid. They will look at the, track record. They will look at the history. And obviously, they don't have trust, immediately. So you have to build that. You have to build that kind of reputation. Maybe few success stories there, or try working with the local KOLs maybe, and try using their following, okay, and endorsements, etc., etc. These are really important aspects. So it takes time, but you can kind of speed it up as well by taking advantage of the local tools, right, and people, influential people, right? Because in Chinese kind of social media, there are so many KOLs as well, just like in any other country. So you can take advantage of that as well, and that will make the whole process much shorter, hopefully. So, but if you are patient and persistent, obviously you can achieve your goals of making your first $1 million doing business in China. Now, so these are some of the practical tips that I listed myself based on my career, based on my experience, lengthy and practical experience that doing business in China. Once again, we've been doing business in China for almost 13 years now, running several businesses here, and so I didn't take all these tips and advices from somewhere. These are purely based on my experience, right? So doing business in China can be challenging, like we mentioned, but it's incredibly rewarding if you position yourself right, if you find the right product or service that Chinese consumers want and prefer, and the chances are really high to become successful here. If you're willing to put in the work, you can achieve great success in the Chinese market, because literally on a daily basis we hear success stories. So a few weeks ago, actually, one of the NBA basketball players, they launched a wine selling business, okay, on Chinese social media. So instead of just launching a new store, what they did was to sign an agreement with the local KOL, and they sold, obviously, as a result, I don't know, close to 80,000 bottles in the first 10 minutes. That's kind of huge number. So as you can see, this kind of stories are repetitive. You hear them a lot, actually. So otherwise, local people, how would they know you? They don't know you. They don't know your product. They don't know your service. So, but of course, if a local person gives some sort of endorsement to you, then the whole process is much easier. And some additional tips maybe, which I mentioned already. From the beginning, hire local staff. Local staff will have a better understanding of the Chinese market and culture, obviously, and they will be able to help you to navigate the complex regulatory environment. Because this is one of the very important things. Most people, they just rely on their own experience. They say, well, I have a lot of experience doing business in the US, Canada, etc., in different markets, and I will probably succeed in China as well. But regulations here, because of the language and culture, barriers, understanding the regulatory environment can be extremely challenging. If you miss out on something, if you don't understand something, or maybe there is a wrong translation, you end up making a lot of mistakes, and then it will eventually affect your business negatively. So next additional tip is attend trade shows. Literally a couple days ago, we finished attending one of the biggest internationally events on freight forwarding and logistics, because we have a logistics company in Shanghai as well. So this is one real life example. During the event, I met hundreds of partners around the globe. You name it, like literally every country in the world. Okay, so that's how you make friends. That's how you make connections and network. Okay, so you can try actually before you start selling your product or service, before that, you can try attending some of the trade shows and industry events. Okay, and this is a great way to meet potential customers and partners, obviously, and to learn about the latest trends in the Chinese market. And next additional tip will be get involved in the Chinese community. That's it's not discussed widely, but this is also very important. So you need to get involved in the Chinese community. How can you do that? Like if you're living in the US or Canada, there are so many Chinatowns, actually, Chinese communities. So you can actually go in those communities and try to network with them, right? So because this can open doors for you, and it can actually accelerate your process entering the Chinese market. So this could involve joining a Chinese business association in your country, contacting the Chinese embassy or consulate and try to get some practical information from there, or sponsoring some local events, even through your own trade chambers. For example, American Chamber of Commerce, European Chamber of Commerce, or Japanese Korean Chamber of Commerce. Through them, you can try to sponsor some sort of events, okay, and local events in China. So that can also open a lot of doors for you. Getting involved in the community is a great way to build relationships and establish reputation in the Chinese market. Reputation, it goes without saying that reputation is absolutely important in every country. Okay, in business world, reputation is probably one of the most important elements to succeed. It's actually self-explanatory. I don't have to explain it. If you don't have reputation, you're nothing in business. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, obviously, and consider subscribing to the channel. And for more tips on how to succeed in business in different markets, and also you can turn on the notification so you can have all the first videos right when it's announced. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next one.